Hi everyone, I'm Frank from the Netherlands. I made a little bio slide here. So I was fascinated by the teletext from the early 80s on, as well as Commodore. And in my past early 90s, I developed some teletext software back in the DOS and Windows days, and a teletext browser for the Dutch NOS broadcasting company when Teletext was 20 years old in the Netherlands. And last year I purchased a C64 and an Ultimate with the intention to learn assembly language. I programmed a lot in my life, but never really in assembly. Um, and when I got my hands on the Ultimate, I thought, would it be nice to program a teletext app because it had networking capabilities. So that's when I started back in January of this year. For the people who are not familiar with teletext, it's a digital magazine on TV, and it was introduced in 1974 by the BBC. And it's really simple. You get your remote and type 3 digits, and you get a teletext page on your screen. And it's really a simple technique, basically. And there's a lot of information, colorful text, simple graphics called mosaics. And back in the day, it was quite a revolution because, of course, there was no internet, and you had newspapers and TV, and this was something you could control yourself. You had the latest news, real-time information about TV programs, sports, weather, all kinds of information. So that was great. So I was fascinated by it. And how they did it is use a part of the screen. You see that in the picture bottom right. Is that's called the vertical blanking interval. And those white noisy stripes you see there, that's the teletext information being transmitted to the television. Now, the features of teletext are remarkably similar to what a Commodore 64 can do, but not quite. It has 40 columns by 25 rows, 8 colors in every foreground and background combination. That's the difference with the C64 character mode. It has continuous and separated mosaics. The continuous you see at the bottom, and the separated ones are on the top, row 1 and 2. It has flashing text and concealed text, so you can hide text for a quiz or something else. I'll show you that later. A double hide feature, boxed info, so you can subtitle TV shows with that, or present flash news updates on a little part of your screen. And now they extended teletext over the years with all kinds of features like fast text. I'll show you that later. Those are those red buttons, red screen, and on the remote. And there were also a lot of levels of teletext, and what you see right now is level 1.5, if I am correct. And the 2.0 and 2.5 versions were extended with a lot of colors and extra graphics, but it wasn't really used in Europe. This is a picture of ZDF from Germany, and they use the higher level of teletext. And what you can see in the top is the orange color. That's a new color, and the graphics are a little bit more detailed. A little bit of how teletext works is you can see it in this picture. It basically comes down to 32 control codes, and with those control codes you can tell what has to be displayed. And those graphics you see on screen are called mosaics, and they consist of tiny 2x3 blocks of block matrix. And they can be represented with a 6-bit value, but basically all teletext decoders on the television have the graphics built in, so they don't are generated when it's displayed on screen. So, for example, if you want to have a blue background with the white mosaics, and you need to set 3 control codes, like the ZDF logo you see on screen. First, you have to set the blue color. Then you have to set new background as a second character. And every control code, that's important to say, takes a character on the screen. And that's why the first column is always black on Teletext, except SVT from Sweden. But if you want to have a mosaic on screen, you have to set, in this case, 3 characters, and then you can start displaying the mosaic. And you see it represented here. If you see the header, for example, you see ZDF. There's an A and a Y for yellow, and an A and a G for green. So you can set those colors just before the text starts. And that's a reason also why you always see those spaces on teletext pages. And this is an example of Sweden, and there they use the asterisk in column 0. But on all other stages, it's never used. But what do we require to get it working on our Commodore 64? In the first place, we need networking capabilities, of course. Some services are also available on the internet. It's not only on TV. And the teletext that are actually services that are actually usable, they have to be in binary format or HTML or XML, JSON or TTI format. That's a specific teletext format. And that's and if they present it on the internet with those formats, we can parse it. But what you also see is a lot of stations these days just present you a GIF image or PNG image, and you can't really do much by it. You could, of course, analyze that picture and look at the colors they are using and the characters they are displaying, but that takes some effort. So that might be possible. But the services I support right now are all those with the other formats. And we need a parser to convert source data to teletext data. But because we know teletext data is just 40 columns by 25 rows, so it's 1,000 bytes plus some navigation info for the subpages. And we need, of course, the teletext rendering algorithm to handle all those control codes and display the image. And my goal for my program was to be as accurate as possible. So to get really the picture on the Commodore 64 as it is on TV. That was my goal. And you might think it seems not too complicated, and for me it was, because I had lots of struggles and challenges when I started out. Like I said, I could program, but not in assembly. Last October, November, I started learning assembly for games programming. And I thought, if I want to do this teletext program, it seems to be a little too far-fetched. So I fall back to the C language, and I chose the CC65 compiler. And that worked really well for me. And on the Commodore 64 Ultimate, we have the Ultimate Command Interface. I had to find out how that worked. And the passkey characters needed to be translated to ASCII characters when dealing with the networking. I wasn't aware of that in the first period, but I found out really soon. So we need those translations. And also I found out that the Ultimate can only do HTTP and not HTTPS, so no secure websites. And basically every website these days is secure. So I ran into a problem. And then I thought, okay, I guess I have to create a proxy program to translate my HTTP requests to HTTPS to get the actual teletext data. And it took me quite a while to figure out that I needed to do something like that. And I don't know if the chip from that's the ESP32 from the Commodore 64 Ultimate, it should be able to do secure network trafficking, but it's not implemented. And I think it's because the LAN is also only HTTP. So for now, we need the proxy to get secure networking. What I also figured out was that I couldn't use the default character mode because it only has a global background color. So that was a big no-go. And for Teletext, we need to be able to set every individual background and foreground combination. So I got the Commodore manual and I found out there was a bitmap mode that was exactly what I needed. 320 by 200, 2 colors per 8 pixels. But it's not quite good enough, I have to say, because I do really need 9 vertical pixels because of the 2 by 3 mosaics. And I had to make a compromise there. I'll show you that in a minute. But what I did, I was taking it step by step. So first get the networking going on, and then build the teletext renderer. Like I said in my bio, I programmed a lot of teletext software in the early 90s, and I had all those source code, of course. And what I did is what is used that as a base. It was all written in Pascal and Delphi back in the day. And I used that teletext rendering engine as a starting point for getting everything on screen. But I also needed a character set. So what I did is I got my font from back in the day and had to recreate all the characters in the character set format for the C64. So what you can see on the left is the alphanumerics, and in the bottom part you see all those mosaic characters, separated and continuous graphics. And what you also see top left in the first 2 rows are the 32 control codes, and in the original font you see all kinds of pictures there, and that was because we had a teletext editor back in the day. So if you want to create teletext pages, you can display all those characters. Now, I skipped those, and I used that for something else. So my first step was creating in CarePad the font, and later I split them up because of efficiency and memory. And at the bottom, you can see in the left, you can see a default capital C from the C64 font. And what I needed was a top pixel row for the background color. And normally on a C64, the capitals bleed into the row above. And I didn't want that, so I made all the characters a little bit shorter. That's what I did. And then you get those nice teletext effects like you see on the screenshot to the right. And those little red arrows point to those single lines that separate the characters from the background and the row above. Now, like I said, it basically comes down to handling a 1,000-byte data stream for teletext. And I re-implemented the old algorithm. I told you already that. And oh yeah, this was not a struggle for me. I started out with bitmap mode in VIC bank 1. It's like the default bitmap mode bank. You have 8K of memory, and you can put your bitmap there, and you can render it there, and you have another place for the memory. That's 1,000 bytes. The background colors, but I ran into all kinds of issues because when I started to grow my C program, it ran quickly out of memory. So I had to figure out how to get more memory. And like I said, I just started this January with programming the C64, so I know demo code or assembler guide. So I have to figure out how to do that. So I finally managed to move everything to bank 2, and that gave me about like a little bit less than a 16K extra memory. So now I can expand my program again. To the right, you see a picture with all the control codes. So those are the 32 codes, like to set colors for the alphanumeric characters, for the mosaics. And with these control codes, the renderer also knows what he has to do in case he meets a mosaic character or something else, or has to start flashing some text on screen. And I had to use all kinds of memory maps for that to store that information from the teletext source. Right now, I'm busy with all kinds of speed optimizations because the page rendering was not really fast at 1 megahertz, and on the Ultimate we have the luxury to run programs very fast. So I was always running at about 40 megahertz. I'll show you that in the demo. But like 2 months ago, I started working on the WIC 64. If you're not familiar with it, it's a user port module with networking capabilities. That's a ESP32 as well. It has a very nice portal with all kinds of great software, and I wanted to support that as well. And I'm currently also optimizing the networking code for both systems. And also another thing with the C64, as you know, he has I call it a bit washed out colors, and it works really great for games and demos and all kinds of pictures. But as you know, for teletext, we have those really bright red, green, blue, and yellow colors. And I used a VPL file for that. That's a Vice palette file, and the Ultimate supports that. So this is optional, and you can use it to get those really bright teletext screens. And I also use the turbo control mode, so I can set the clock speed of the computer. The proxy. The proxy program does a little bit more than just connect HTTP to HTTPS. What it also does, it fetches the pages, and I put my converter in there. So all those sources from those teletext pages on the internet are different. Some are TTI, like you see top right, that's the BBC, uses that, CFAX. And in the middle you see, I think it's JSON or XML, I think it's JSON. It's from the Finnish XCTV. Bottom right you see HTML that's used on most sites. So what the proxy program does is it converts those source markup, I should say, to the teletext, the raw teletext data. And what I also do is I changed and postfix all kinds of data because I want to make those teletext pages look as authentic as possible, like on a television. And if a source didn't have fast text, I provided that as well. And here are some examples. To the left, you see the original, like the output on the internet for the Dutch teletext with a simple header row. And I recreated the header row like you see it on the television. And also I did a double height fix because the Dutch broadcaster introduced a new teletext system for themselves a couple of years back. And in the past they had like those nice big double height text, and I reintroduced that with my proxy program you see on the right for the web page. CFAX and TFAX. That's like a special recreation for all kinds of teletext. But CFAX was also recreated. They shut down in like 2012, and someone wanted to recreate and reintroduce that. So CFAX is available on the internet, and the source from this is the TTI format, and I could like one-on-one translate it to the format I use. I use the NOS Dutch broadcast format. So I didn't have to do anything here. It has fast text in the bottom, and was a really easy translation. On the German pages, I added the fast text you see at the bottom, and on Swedish teletext, I made the header row exactly like on television, and I also added fast text there. This is the Finnish Texty TV, and this was a special case because when you want to use it not as a default internet page, but if you want to use the raw data, you have to get an API key. It's free, and you can request it at YLE. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's their broadcaster, and they send you a personal key. And to the bottom left, you see a little screenshot of the proxy program, and telling us we need that key. And if you want to go to the teletext station, you get the custom-made teletext screen I made. And if you have the key, of course, you get the actual teletext. Last thing I want to show is DR text that is from Denmark. And what they have on the internet is only an image, bottom left, or a text mode page variant of teletext. So I couldn't use the bottom left one. So what I did was I fully reconstructed the colors and the graphics in my proxy program. It was a lot of work, but I thought it was fun to do. It was sometimes a real puzzle. And what you see in the middle are those red, yellow bars. And what those bars represent is how far a TiVo program is going. And what my proxy program does is he calculates how those bars should look like. So I recreated that as well. Installation, I also have a GitHub page where it's all at. You have to download the Patsy proxy program, and I have all kinds of target executables there. You just put it in a folder and run it. And for the C64 part, you download the D64 image for the Ultimate or the WIG. So you can also run this as a stock 64, Commodore 64. And the first thing you have to do is run a config program to set the IP address of the pesky proxy program. And the Ultimate users have to enable the command interface, and I provided the CFG file for that. And it also sets the turbo control mode to the right position. And like I said, you can use an optional VBL file for those bright colors. And you run it, so then that's basically it. What I want to do next on my list is Meatloaf support. I heard that's a great device, so I don't have one, so I have to get one first before I can start working on that. And maybe there are also kinds of other networking devices for the Commodore. I don't know of them, but Meatloaf I do know, so I want to support that. Of course, I want to add more services. I put a few on here, but I have a big list. So my goal is to add as many services as possible. And someone asked for Docker support. I'll look at that for the Patsy proxy program. And I want to extend the program with some features like carousel mode and maybe reconstruct a page from an image later on. And what also is fun for me is to add on-the-fly translation. Because all those pages are in native languages for all over Europe, and I can't read Danish or Finnish, so I would love to read those pages just in Dutch or English. So maybe it's possible in the future to translate that on the fly. I don't know how hard it is to do, but I want to try it. And maybe develop versions for other machine. I was triggered with PET. I have never thought of the PET, but maybe we can. I don't know if there's a PET with networking capabilities or a cartridge or something, but it would be fun to also support a PET or something. But for sure, the Amiga, because I also had Amiga in the past. But right now I don't have one. But maybe in the future it's fun to create a version for the Amiga as well, or the C128. I think it's time for a demo. There are a lot of users already using the program, so they shared some screenshots with it. So what I'm going to do now is switch cameras and try to get the actual feed from my C64. So I'll have to go out of my presentation and change my video to OBS. And I think I have to change the setting here. Yes. And can you still hear me? And do you see my Commodore 64 screen?
We can still hear you, and I will put you in your video in the spotlight so that it comes on the main screen for everyone. Yes, there it is.
Yes. For myself. Okay. Now I'll hope it's a live demo, so I'll hope it works. I'll go in the menu and nope. I wanted to mount and run, but I chose another option. I'll wait for this. Shouldn't take too long. Ridiculous. There it is. And do you see a teletext picture right now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is the default page I put in my config program. So I'm Dutch, so I'll have this when I'm working from home. I have this all day on. So I really use my own teletext program every day because I can always watch the news and the latest things. So for me, it's NOS 101. That's my page, but of course you can configure that yourself. At the bottom, you see those fast tag links. So let's go to sports. And it's what I did is I mapped those four quick fast tag links to the function keys of the C64. So I press F3, and I will press F7, and we get the World Soccer page on screen. So you can really quickly navigate to all kinds of pages. But I can also, of course, type a number, like on the remote. And this is a page from Smog Information about the air quality in the Netherlands. And this page has subpages, and that's also typical for teletext. So you can browse all the subpages and back to the first page. Right now, I have these stations programmed, and let's go to the BBC. This is CFAX, and like I said, the real CFAX died in 2012, but there's an enthusiastic user that recreated everything. And the news you are seeing on the screen right now, he gets that from the BBC page. So he also parses all kinds of information and recreates all kinds of teletext information. That's really great. I love it. So we can go to like 104 and see US-Iran deal scheduled to be signed on Sunday, says Trump. Who knows? Now we also have like all kinds of information, like the top 40 singles from this week or something. Oh yeah, my program supports two fonts. This is the default bold font, but depending on the monitor, you can switch to a thin font. I also created, and it's a little bit for your own taste, what you like. And if you're using a CRT or an LCD monitor or something, or TV, you can switch back and forth on the fly between these fonts. I could, of course, add much more fonts and use the REU or something. Or if I figure out to have more memory available. because every font takes about like 1.5 kilobytes. Not too much, but I could add more fonts if I want to. Let's go to RD. This menu, you can press all kinds of letters. So as I press the Z, it goes like this. So you can use cursor keys and also quick select with the letters on the keyboard. This is the German teletext. And what's good to know here is that I also recreated like the language-specific characters. Like you see Bertha to the bottom. And the RD is also talking about a Vereinbarung, they say in German. And we can check it out, and we can see the news item for the German viewers. And what I wanted to show you here, they have all those extended ASCII characters, like it's called President, the A with double points above it. And also, if we go, like example, to sports, F3, we can see football. And there you can see what's called the Ringel S, if I say it right in German. And the Ringel S is that weird little, like the B with, it's a little bit open. So I also recreated all those local fonts, and I also did that for the other European teletext services. Let's see what's interesting. ZDF text maybe. The other it's also really popular teletext services. They actually have multiple teletext services, and this was like a little gift, because when I had this, I also automatically got free ZDF Info, Neo, and Dreisat. These two look a bit the same. And Dreisat is a combined teletext service from Austria, Switzerland, and Germany. Let's go to Denmark. This is what I also had in my slide. You see the live red yellow bar now, how much the soccer game is right now. Like 75% on or something. And here you see, I don't know if I also made those special characters. Yes, you see the A with the little ring around it, and you see like on the row one where it ends on 115, you see the A and the E stick together. I also recreated those kind of characters. So what I do with every language, I check if there's local characters, and then I support them. And the way I do that is like I use the official teletext specifications for this, and the teletext has all kinds of documents online, and there you can see exactly what you need for Italian, for Portugal, or for Spain, or whatever country, what kind of local or France, or what kind of local characters they use. So it's set up like that. Let's go to the TFX, and what happens here is this is a little bit like an odd teletext, because it's not one-on-one. So if I type 101, I don't get to request 101. I first have to get, the first time is like an index page. And from the index page, there are all kinds of references to all those pages, because they have really funny names. But you can control it just with the remote, with the keys, like all the other services. And what I would like to show here was the picture that's shortly available. This was used in my presentation, first slide. You saw that. And what is also nice is to show this one. Right now you see a new icon popping up in the top row next to P171, the green icon with a question mark. And that tells us that there's something to reveal. You also see it in yellow at the bottom. So there's Guess Who quiz here, and we have to find a name. Someone was born in Chicago 1901, but I won't read everything. And I'll press the C, and then you see Walt Disney. So this is a way to reveal and conceal data on the teletext page, like on the TV. And you have the question mark button there. And what you also see here is a flashing D on top. So that they have made it by it's a real code that they use. And what can I show you here? Like they have like a test page. You can see more of those things. You see like all kinds of flashing. And I also wanted to support that. So I didn't want to have a static screen. I wanted to behave the screen exactly like it is on your television. So I also support all those kinds of things. And I think I want to conclude this demo with a really familiar screen. So I have to look it up really quick. It's on this page. And I have to go 8 pages down. And someone, I don't know who did it, it wasn't me, recreated our familiar startup screen for the Commodore in teletext, including a blinking cursor. So I found it was funny. So that was my demo. I'll stop sharing my screen.
Great, many thanks, Frank. I had a couple of questions, but you kept answering them during your talk.
One moment, I have to go to my camera and I use my background. That's up. So that's better than the mess behind me.
Maybe one question that remains, at least for me, is how do you know when you are in a certain? So, for example, you said you have implemented all the different character set based on language, and we have seen that, for example, on the German there was Börse with the O with the double dots, etc. But how do you know when you need to reload the character set when you are changing to another page and that the language has special characters? Is it like hard coded based on the channel, or is it like automatically from your translation?
It's a very good question, because right now I have hard coded it. So if I'm changing my station, I know which language page I have to use to call it. So it's in memory, those characters get swapped to the it's you saw it in my presentation on the font. There was a little part that has special characters for a certain language, but the teletext standard actually sends that information with the page for every page, and even more secure for every subpage. So in every page or subpage, that language code is there. But because the way the teletext services are set up on the internet, that information is lost. We just see the picture, and then most of the time it's made out of HTML. And we don't have that information. And where I do have that information is with CFAX and the TFAX. It still is in there because I use the TTY format. And in the TTI specifications, it's there. So I could deduct that information from those two stations. But for me right now, it's easier to hard code it and know upfront what characters that I have to load. And I see a question about caching.
Yes, let me read now. Teletext looks also.
There's a question about the WIC.
Yeah.
Is the WIC 64 anyway fast enough when pulling new pages? Now, actually, the WIC is faster than the Ultimate. On a stock, if I run this program on a stock 64 at 1 megahertz, the WIC has better networking. I don't know if I the networking in the WIC actually is better than in the Ultimate itself. It's really fast, and it comes down to the way I fetch the data. I have to say, to my knowledge, I can only get 512 bytes of data per block from the Ultimate. And with the WIC, I just give one command and I get the complete page. Let's say those 1,000 plus bytes given to me by the WIC. And the step After that, it's just rendering the page. So the WIC is actually quicker than the ultimate version on the stock C64. What you saw in my demo was running on 14 megahertz. So on the stock 64, it's of course slower.
Great, many thanks, Frank. Looking at the time, we have a little bit extended, so I will ask people if they have more questions to just post them in the chat.
Yeah, okay.
So that we can go to the next speaker. Many thanks again. I will stop the recording now.